The Intergroup is a group of MEPs who come together around an issue that they are passionate about. They're dedicated to issues that are not covered by any one specific committee. So they are therefore called cross-cutting issues. So they're issues that different MEPs in different committees from different party political groups will come together from time to time during their mandate to hold events, seminars, issue policy briefings, look at issues that they are really passionate and interested about that are not specifically the mandate or the competence of one committee. The main structure of the parliament is built around party political groupings and around committees. So for example, there's the Youth Committee, there's the Environment Committee, there's the Employment and Social Affairs Committee. The committees focus on really specific topics and specific policy areas and funding programs within those policy areas. The intergroups touch on cross-cutting issues. So for example, volunteering, which is a cross-cutting issue, is better dealt with by the intergroup rather than by one specific committee. It's important to have intergroups so that MEPs can make the links between the different policy areas. MEPs are normally limited to being involved in only maybe 2 or 3 committees. And the committees are really quite narrow in the work that they can follow. Intergroups are important so that those MEPs can share ideas, opinions, work areas on different cross-cutting issues, and also so that MEPs can follow their interests, their passions, also the interests and the causes that are important to the people who vote for them. Many civil society organizations deal with really cross-cutting issues. There are a few civil society organizations that have quite narrow remits. So intergroups are an important space as an interlocutor between parliamentarians, European parliamentarians and civil society. In many cases, the running, the secretariat, the administration of the intergroups is handed over to civil society. This is the case, for example, for the intergroup on environmental issues. This is taken care of by civil society. For the intergroup on volunteering, we also hope that the European Volunteer Centre, as representative of civil society, will be involved in running the intergroup and therefore making sure that civil society and the needs and wishes and interests of civil society are really integral to the topics that the intergroup is working on. The Intergroup on Volunteering is an intergroup that we hope to establish for the mandate of the Parliament this time. The intergroups are established when more MEPs vote for the establishment of that intergroup and when more party political groupings express their support for the establishment of the intergroup. So there's a great competition. There's a limited number of intergroups that can be established. Together with the co-chairs, Ms. Sodrova, Ms. Joveva and Mr. Ruiz, CEV is working very hard that we can get enough support that we need from the rest of the MEPs, that we can make sure that there will be a volunteering intergroup that can link all the issues connected with volunteering that all the different committees and all the different party political groupings are working on. Normally the intergroups come out of long established working relationships between civil society and between members of the European Parliament. There are also informal groupings of members of the European Parliament called interest groups, and we've had an interest group on volunteering for the last 2 mandates, so almost 10 years there's been an interest group around volunteering, but interest groups don't have specific funding for meetings, and they are informal interest groups. An intergroup can very often grow out of having an interest group, and they are shared interest between some MEPs, some civil society, and together the intergroup is created, is run, and civil society play an important role in making sure that the work of the intergroup is shared with citizens also across Europe. Intergroups have quite small budgets. They are not a huge area of work for the Parliament. They don't meet so frequently. Committees, for example, will meet at least once a month, normally on average. Committees also tend to meet more in Brussels where there is more media attention, there is more physically just more people around, there's more attention placed on the committee workings, on the party political group workings. This also has great interest often at national level because it's connected very much with party political issues at national level. The intergroup meetings themselves take place in Strasbourg, so there's not so much media interest on what is going on in Strasbourg. There's not so many people around, and also the issues are not perhaps so newsworthy. Sometimes they are quite subtle issues. They're really about sharing ideas and opinions and strengthening the links between the different working of the committee. They're really a support structure for the rest of the working of the parliament and for the work that the MEPs do on behalf of the citizens who vote for them.